Keep it high, keep it tight. I'm Jay Mercer, review guy, back to bring you another video. So, the Walking Dead death predictions and the Walking Dead review have done so well that I decided to give you guys my top 15 favorite characters. So, these are both alive and dead, and I will give some spoilers away, so if you're not caught up, feel free to click off. But just drop a like on the video, it really helps a lot, and there will be more reviews out very soon for different things, especially albums. So, basically, what we're talking about today is my 15 favorite characters from the Walking Dead television series. This is not talking about the comics. The comics is a very different beast, and my list would be completely different with that. And I was going to make this a top 10 list, but there's just too many characters that I really like that I wanted to put on this list and felt like I had to make this a bigger list. So let's keep this moving. I'll make it go fast. Number 15 is going to be Ezekiel. Now, this is a character that's right on the fringe line because it feels like he was built up a lot in season 8 and season 7, and then they kind of just dropped him and he didn't have much to do. So this is dependent on if he gets more time, but I personally really do like what they've done with his character up to this point, except for the second half and the last few episodes of the first half of season 8 and then the second half of season 8. I feel like he was very underused. So number 14 is going to be Dwight. So this is a new entry to the list. I really, really love what they did with Dwight's character in season 8, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite newer characters, although he was introduced in season 6, so he's not really that new anymore. You get what I mean. I feel like he definitely adds a lot to the series. I'm very, very curious to see what happens in season 9, and depending on how his character goes, he could eventually end up even higher up on the list. So number 13 is going to be Negan. So I am not as big of a Negan fan as some people are now. I should say this is my list. This is completely subjective. Sorry if my list is different. I'd love to hear your guys' favorite characters in the comment section below, so go ahead. But Negan, I still think he is a good villain. I like a lot of his parts. I think he adds a lot to the series. He's funny, definitely. He's scary when he needs to be, and he's a good villain. Number 12 is going to be the Governor. This is a throwback, and yes, I put the Governor above Negan because I feel like they're two different villains and it's hard to compare them, but I like the Governor just because he's a lot scarier. Negan's very straightforward. Yeah, he's going to bash someone's head in. He's going to crack a couple jokes. But the Governor, when he was on screen, it was menacing. It was scary. And it really had a feel that I don't think Negan necessarily had, where you really, really feel... Sometimes Negan feels cheesy, the scenes he's in. Like when he's with Simon in the episode where, spoiler alert, Simon dies, and he's putting his hand on Simon's shoulder, and you hear the music building up, you know he's not going to do anything. It's so cheesy, it's so anticlimactic. But when the Governor's on screen, he's so stern, and he was smart. He was very, very smart. He knew what he was doing, and he was conniving, he was sneaky, and he was just a great, great villain. And I'm very glad that they gave him the flashback in season 4 and brought him back. That was really awesome and led to one of the best episodes in pretty much everyone's mind of the entire series, being Too Far Gone. Number 11 is going to be Morgan. So Morgan's not in Walking Dead anymore. He's over in Fear, which hopefully I can start doing reviews for on a weekly basis. I need to review the premiere, and then I can review each episode as it comes out. But I think that Morgan's arc in Season 8 was really cool. I personally liked him more prior. I liked, which Morgan did I like the best? Because he's gone through a lot of changes. My favorite Morgan would be probably Season 6 Morgan, when he just came back to the group. I really like that with like JSS, and yeah, definitely. I liked Morgan in that season. Morgan was good in that season. So, moving on from there. Number 10, very, very surprising entry, Simon. Yes, Simon is in my top 10. Now, as seasons pass and his characters come and go, I could definitely see this being a character that maybe gets bumped off a bit. And honestly, that's fine. I that's fine. I understand if you are maybe a bit surprised that he's on this list. It just comes down to I really liked Simon's character in season 8. I feel like All Out War, he's not in the comics. Simon's not in the comics, and I feel like All Out War would not have been the same unless Simon was there, because he really added an element to the series that is bigger, and he expanded the war, and I really love the power struggle between him and Negan. I thought that was a really, really good arc, and I'm excited to see what they do with his. Well, you know, I'm excited to see. What I'm trying to say is, I'm excited to see how they do with the saviors leading forward. Because spoiler alert, with Negan with his throat slit, what are they? I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with the characters that are could or could not lead. Who's gonna lead the saviors? Is it gonna be Dwight? Who knows? So moving on from there, number 9 is going to be Rosita. So Rosita is a character that I, when I was making this list, I took a lot of time looking through the different characters and reading the wikias to try to kind of catch myself up to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And as I went through, I never really fully grasped how important Rosita was in season 6 and 7. And it's the type of thing that no one would have expected that. Rosita has the most time out of any character in season 7 in terms of episodes. She's in like 13 of the episodes. Rick's not even in that many. Rick Grimes, the protagonist, is not in more episodes than Rosita. And at times, yes, she can seem snappy, but I feel like still you have to respect the fact that the character's still around, and she's so different from the comics. That's something that I can definitely respect, is that they made her character a lot different than she was in the comics, and she was pretty much non-existent in the comics, and in the series she was non-existent for a while, and no one thought much of her, and then she bumped up and became a bigger character. So moving on from there, number 8 becomes a big throwback. Merle Dixon. I really, really wish they would have kept Merle around, because I feel like even if he wasn't in all the episodes, or most of them, I feel like he could have had a lot to do with the story, and I would have loved to seen how he went through the different seasons. And just, he reminded me a lot of a character that we're talking about later on this list, that I hope I'll remember to mention, that it's the character I was talking about now. He's so much fun with his one-liners and his dialogue. It feels so fresh. It feels, yes, he was a racist, he was a redneck, he was rough, but he went out like a champ. He was a hero, and I really, really like Merle's character. Very much miss him in the show. Wish he was still around. Moving on from there, number 7 is going to be Daryl Dixon, his brother. So I am not a fan of Daryl right now. I'll come right out and say that. I think that Daryl was much better in previous seasons, and looking back, he definitely had a lot of important moments. He was definitely an interesting character. But in season 8, it doesn't feel like they're giving him enough to do, and I could see him being pushed up on this list, or maybe even taken off entirely if season 9 is a repeat of season 8 for him, and he's just there without much to do. So number 6 is going to be Michonne. What can't you say about Michonne? She is awesome, and she is probably one of the strongest characters on the entire show. I would put Michonne up against any other character pretty much, and it would be a good fight. Maybe she wouldn't beat some of them, but it would definitely be a good fight. And I'm very curious to see what they do with her character from this point on, and I'm excited to see what she does. So number 5. I did remember, it's the other character that I was talking about when I was talking about Merle, Abraham. Abraham has the best lines of this entire show. Literally, go look up some of his lines. Like, look up his, the IMDb of Abraham Ford, or like on the Wikia. His lines are hilarious, and it really feels like something's missing without Abraham. He's funny, he's awesome, and I am sad to see him gone from the show. And it's just one of those things, like, people die and you wish they'd still be around. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him in a hallucination eventually. I doubt it. I highly doubt it, unless it was something for Rosita, which, once again, I doubt. Number 4, the highest female on the list is going to be Carol. So, once again, kind of like Daryl, I was a bit disappointed with what she had in Season 8. I feel like they could have given her more time, more interesting stuff, but you cannot take down what Carol has done throughout the seasons. I mean, when you look at episodes like The Grove, when you look at Season 4 entirely, when you look at Season 5 entirely, when you look at Season 6 entirely, Carol is an amazing character, and she has really come a long way, and I'm excited to see what they do with her in Season 9. I hope that they do something interesting. So we're up to the top 3. Can any of you guys guess who they're going to be? Number 3 is going to be Hershel Green. So it was amazing to see an old person, late 60s, early 70s maybe, being so awesome. In Season 4, Hershel was so cool with the sickness. When there's nothing better, I forget who the other person in the scene is, but shoot, it's Daryl. It's Daryl. Okay, pardon my language because I'm quoting a quote that Daryl says. It's Hershel takes off his mask and they're standing outside, and Daryl's like, "You're one tough son of a bitch," and Hershel just walks away and he just says, "I know." Like, you can't knock this character. He's just awesome. And even in the earlier seasons, he was an awesome character. Season 2, Season 3, when he lost his leg. He's an awesome character, and he really was the moral compass. I think he was the ultimate moral compass of the group. Number 2, no one puts this character on their list. No one puts this character this high on their list, even when they were alive. No one put this character this high on their list, if at all. Number 2 is going to be Tyreese. Tyreese Williams. I love Tyreese as a character. When I look back to like Season 4 and Season 5, when I think of episodes like The Grove with Carol, that scene where Carol admits that she was the one that killed Karen and David, or when he gets in the fight with Rick. Oh my gosh, Chad Coleman does an amazing job of bringing this character to life. I like him leagues more than I do in the comics. He got killed in the comics in Hershel's place. And I just love Tyreese as a character. I think he's awesome. I think he's one of the strongest characters they've ever had when he wants to be, when he wants to fight and stuff. And he's just a great, great character when he's bouncing between the groups, and he first gets introduced, his group with Sasha. Sasha's probably an honorable mention. He's just an amazing character. I really love his character. And it's sad to not see him in the series anymore. And honestly, if he would have survived longer, he might have been number 1 just because I feel like they gave him a weak death, and I would have loved to see him around longer. Maybe if he would have gotten the Negan death, that would have been pretty cool. Number 1, this character, no one's going to beat him. No character from this point on, no matter how many seasons pass, if it gets to Season 20, if it gets to Season 25, if it gets to Season 100, no character is going to outdo this character. And that would be Glen. Glen Rhee is by far my favorite character in this entire series. His arc is phenomenal. I love this character. I really, really love this character. And there's not much I can say because I feel like the majority of the fan base knows why I would pick Glen at number 1, because he's high on most people's lists. I don't know if he's number 1 on a lot of people's lists, but I loved Glen as a character. And he got his comic death, but I would have loved to see him survive longer. Maybe that. I feel like Abraham might have been enough. Who knows? Because I feel like Glen's death overshadowed Abraham's just a bit. But yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later. This has been JMorph's Review Guy. Comment, like, subscribe, comment down below, and drop a like in the video. Be subscribed, and I'll give you a shout-out. I'm excited to hear what your guys' favorite characters are. So comment them down below. I'll talk to you guys next time. I'll talk to you later. Farewell.